Johannes.
Arne.
How did we manage to be so close?
Because I'm in Hamburg for Christmas and I'm in the Chess Base studio, and we used the opportunity to record the show together.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So, okay.
1 week early.
1 week early, but hey, presents are always there, and we have some nice presents for you, because later in the show we will talk about the greatest blunders of all World Chess Championships.
Oh, the worst, I think, is better. The worst, not the greatest. The
It's
worst.
You might be right.
The worst.
It always depends, right?
The best known.
Okay, the worst, best known blunders of all World Chess
The worst and the
Championships.
best known. And of course, the occasion of this is the end of the World Championship match between Ding Liren and Gukesh. Because
What happened?
some people claim that in the 14th and decisive game, Ding Liren committed the worst blunder in the history of World Chess Championships. And, well, I mean,
We will prove them wrong.
it was pretty bad, actually, And can we have a look at the crucial position?
Yeah, let's take a look at the crucial position.
Let's take a look at the crucial position.
Yes,
So
here we are.
As probably everyone who is watching or listening to this show will know, in this position, Ding Liren, who was white, played the move rook to f2, which, yes, exactly. That's how many commentators reacted.
Not all,
Not all.
but many.
Many, because this blunders the game away. Because after rook a4, the position should be basically a draw, because black will find it hard to make progress. I mean, this has been analyzed and commentated and annotated to death. And, well, I mean, rook f2 loses, because after rook takes f2, king takes f2, bishop to d5, black manages to exchange the bishop and to liquidate into a one-pawn ending.
This is the main reason, right? The bishop was caught on a8, which is also quite
It was
interesting.
caught on a8, yeah. And so then, of course, some people say never put your bishop in the corner. Well, I mean, of course.
Not Gukesh. Gukesh says, put your bishop into
Put
the
your
corner if
bishop
you're my
in the corner.
opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but...
and of course, I mean, the question is why did Ding Liren play the last crucial game the way he played it? Just accepting, sacrificing a pawn to get into an endgame that is theoretically drawn but difficult to defend, or not so difficult to defend, but at least you have to be able to play a worse position for hours on end, and it's the only way. I mean, your opponent is the only one who can press for a win.
But it's a time thing, right? I mean, that's very crucial, isn't it? You have 10 minutes, you have to calculate all those moves because your opponent has a pawn more. And if you only have 10 minutes left, the calculations have to be a bit more precise in less time, while Gukesh has an hour left.
Yeah, but I think it's psychological. I think
for sure, yeah.
I think he just, and of course with psychological issues, it's without the honest take of the player who involved. You can only speculate. But it seems to me the whole way he played the game was just that he felt the pressure and he wanted to get rid of the pressure and he wanted to make a draw as cleanly as possible. And then, of course, he blundered the game away.
Johannes, did you cry?
No, I didn't.
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. And I didn't want to. I wasn't like preparing like, oh, now's the moment I'm going to cry. I was crying for two reasons. Well, first of all, the moment when I'm already feeling it again, the moment when Gukesh is in tears himself, that he just won the World Chess Championship.
Oh, yeah, this was a moving moment, yeah.
But the other moving moment is to see the press conference after that and see Ding Liren in the press conference in poor disbelief. And my God, I felt so much for Ding Liren because everybody said so. And that's, of course, a thing. And we mentioned it as well. Both players are just like super awesome people. There was rarely ever a World Chess Championship where there were enough, but there was no villain here. There was just two superheroes. One superhero because he's so young and has managed to be so amazing with his games.
Yeah.
And the other superhero because he's already a world chess champion who went through a dark and terrible phase in his life and came out of it again and played terrific and nobody expected it.
Yeah, that's true. And again, I mean, it was a fascinating match, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fascinating match.
Enjoyable.
And although we talk about blunders, I thought the general level of the match was quite high, you know.
And you know, not even half an hour before the blunder happened, we were messaging each other and we were like, okay, so we will probably prepare for the tie breaks and...
Yeah, of course. Everybody expected a tie break. Everybody was ready.
Let's continue with some more chess history facts, because luckily we have a chess historian here.
Well, I'm not. I don't see myself as a chess historian, but
a humble chess historian.
I just pick up some historical facts. And again, I mean, the question was this actually the worst blunder in the history of World Chess Championships? And people made videos about this. They wrote articles about it. What is the worst blunder in World Chess Championships? Because it's just like you don't expect the best players of the world to make these atrocious blunders.
They're not allowed to.
Yeah, they are not allowed. This should be forbidden. And I think that there's a general consensus that the worst blunder in the history of World Chess Championships happened in the game Chigorin versus Steinitz in the match of 1892. Can we have a look at this game?
Absolutely.
Somehow?
Let me show it right up.
So this was the crucial position in the game.
Wild times 100 years ago.
Yeah, 1892 it was a match.
1892, no. Okay.
1892 it was the match between Chigorin and Steinitz, and they were playing the first player who had 10.5 points would win the match, or the first player who won 10 games. And this game was played when the match score was 9-8 in favor of Steinitz. And curiously enough, in the game before that, Chigorin had blundered a pawn in a well-known line of the Queen's Gambit, and then allowed his bishop on c2 to be trapped. So everyone is interested should look this up, because this was very much reminiscent of the third game between Gukesh and Ding Liren. Anyway, if you have a look at this position, maybe you know this position. It's absolutely it's white to move, and it's absolutely incredible what he played here. So have a short look. Try to find out who is better and why, and what white should do and what white should not do. And
you're already giving good hints.
Yeah.
But of course, yes.
And
it looks complicated to me. I mean, I wasn't very aware of this position, to be honest, but
in fact, white is just a piece up, and he has a strong passed pawn on d5.
So you can take on b7.
Yeah, after rook b7, you should be winning, because if black then plays rook d5, I have knight f4. Well, maybe we should play these moves.
Yeah.
So this, and if this, I just fork the rooks, and I should win this position.
Sweet.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Chigorin had other ideas, and it's absolutely unclear why he did what he did, but he played bishop to b4.
Well, I can tell you what he tried to do. He tried to attack the rook.
Which he did. But unfortunately, black now plays rook to h2.
Check. Because there's no bishop.
There's no bishop. And here, Chigorin.
He didn't go for, okay, you can checkmate me. He said, I'm giving up now.
Yeah, he resigned.
Now that is a crazy, yeah.
He resigned, and I mean, this blunder cost him the game and the match, because with now Steinitz was leading 10-8, and he had 10 winning games, and therefore the match ended.
What would have happened if Chigorin would have been the very first world champion?
I don't know.
Without this blunder?
I don't know.
Would have the future would have changed?
Yeah, maybe not. But anyway, it's an incredible blunder.
Yeah.
So maybe it really counts as
in a blitz game when you have very little seconds left, maybe. But
you would have been shocked to make such a move. Yeah. So, well, and there's another pretty bad blunder, but it did not decide the match. But
let's take a look at it anyway.
Let's take a look at it anyway, because it was played in a very interesting match.
Okay.
So let's have a look at Bronstein Botvinnik. So this is a famous game from a famous match.
Okay.
And, well, again, take a little time to, I mean, in this position, it's white to move. And take a little time to get familiar with the position.
Okay, so there's almost a queening happening.
So, I mean, black threatens e3, e2, and the pawn would queen. And so white has a choice. He can try to stop the pawn with a king over the knight. But in fact, after the pretty simple move, knight e6,
check,
king g3 or king f3, knight d4, king f2.
And the pawn is stopped.
The knight stops the pawn, and white gives the knight for the pawn and picks up the black pawns and shouldn't lose the game. But for whatever reason, in the game, Bronstein played king to c2, blundering the game away. He probably calculated the sequence king f3, knight f7, and then after e3, knight e5, king f2, knight d3, the knight catches the pawn.
The day is safe.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is, after the game move...
King e4, right? Oh, king
g3.
No
white,
check?
No check. And white is simply too late. Because after, if I try now, knight e6, e2, I don't have a check, and I have to play king d2, and now king f2. Black wins.
That's not good.
That's definitely not good. Well, and this was the 6th game of the match, and the match ended in a 12-12 tie, and Botvinnik was the reigning champion, and so he retained his title. And throughout his life, Bronstein complained about this match, and he had various explanations why he lost, and so on and so on. And these explanations were changing over time. But there were also rumors that Bronstein was forced to lose the match, or at least not to win it, because Botvinnik was the darling of the Soviet government at the time, and Bronstein was definitely not the darling of the government, although he had a mentor who was a high-ranking officer of the Secret Service, so things cannot have been that bad. And anyway, and people, I mean, as a Russian grandmaster once told me that Bronstein was indeed forced because of political circumstance, because Bronstein is also the name of a famous political figure in Soviet history, Trotsky, because Trotsky was born as Bronstein, as Lev Davidovich Bronstein. That's his birth name. But Trotsky was an important figure in the Soviet Revolution, in the October Revolution. And I mean, this sounds a bit like a Netflix series, and it's hard to believe, but it seems to be historical fact that Trotsky was the political rival of Stalin. And in 1924, when Lenin died, Trotsky and Stalin were fighting for power in the Soviet Union, and Stalin won. And in 1929, Trotsky was forced to go into exile, and after various stops, he ended in Mexico, where it's also hard to believe he had a love affair with the famous artist Frida Kahlo. And he died in 1940 because agents of Stalin were sent after him. And one of these agents managed or struck up a love affair with the housemate of Trotsky, and that allowed him to enter the mansion of Trotsky, and there he took an ice pick and rammed it into the head of Trotsky, who who laid.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so people said that Bronstein, the chess player, was not allowed to win this match because, of course, Stalin would not have tolerated a world champion who had the name of his political rival.
Wow.
Whether this is true or not, I don't know. Personally, I believe that everything in this match was correct, but the tension was high, and that much is certain. And blunders like these, or such as these, actually confirm this. But there's also another game, which is hard to believe that this was played in a World Championship match, and this was game 9 of the match, which also illustrate the tension. Maybe we can have a look at that.
Oh.
Botvinnik was white, game 9 of the match, and he opened with d4, and Bronstein, interestingly enough, played the Dutch defense, which is interesting because Botvinnik was using the Dutch defense in his career, and he was an expert on this. And
beating him with his own weapons.
Beating him with his own weapons, asking the questions, hey, Michael, how do you proceed? What do you do against the Dutch?
Against your favorite system.
Yeah. And actually the opening, this experiment worked out quite well, as we will see. So, Queen c2, f3, knight b5, and here Botvinnik played Queen b3, and now Bronstein played Bishop to c5, sacrificing the pawn on b5.
Oh, is it poisoned?
It's not. It's poisoned, yeah, because Black has a good position after this, and he played Bishop to d7.
It's venomous.
Venomous, very venomous. And now Botvinnik played Knight a4, and apparently, if Black now plays a to b5, Knight c5, dc5, the engines think that Black is very much okay. You know?
Okay.
He regained the pawn and has a good position. But Bronstein played Bishop to a7.
How dare he?
And now again, if you have a little look at this position, Botvinnik proved his tactical ability.
Did he?
Did he? Yeah.
All right. So here's a tactical.
Yeah, white to play and win.
So much already.
Yeah, white to play and win.
Well, I'm of course trying to look at this nice diagonal between the queen and the black king, and I wonder if that gives away a clue already. Then...
Well, I mean, of course...
Oh, is it just... No, is it so simple? Is it just taking on... No, actually you can move past.
Yeah, you can move past.
You just play b6.
You play b6,
very
well spotted.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
And after Bishop to x4, what do you play?
Now we just push the pawn forward again, I guess.
We push the forward.
Give away the queen and take a new one.
Take a new one and...
Cute.
And Black is pretty helpless.
Losing at least a piece, right?
You lose much more.
Oh, is it so?
Yeah. So because now Bishop on b3 is hanging, the Bishop on a7 is hanging, and white is an exchange up in this position. And if you cash in
I see.
One of the bishops, you are a whole rook up.
Okay.
So, and in this position, white is indeed a whole rook up. And black has no visible counterplay. And one should think that between world champions or top players, a whole rook should make a difference. But let's watch what happened.
Oh, it's not ending here.
It's not ending here. Bronstein just played on. And, well, again, I mean, it's just that in these positions, things are irrational. I mean, white is completely winning and knows he is completely winning. He is a whole rook up, and he just has to find a safe way to bring the point home.
I'm almost thinking about long castling.
And this would be interesting. I think almost everything wins here. Short castling would be good, but long castling
doesn't really work.
I
forgot that.
I forgot that
if you
as
go
well.
through the check with castling, it's not working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was that rule. heard about it once or twice.
I think he should just have castled, but he played rook a6. Well, he
wants
gives
to
back
simplify,
an
yeah.
exchange to take all counterplay away from black.
Isn't b2 also?
Yeah, of course. Knight d5,
Oh,
queen a4.
I don't like that anymore. No.
No, but white is still winning. I mean, white is
Yeah.
completely winning. And again, I mean, now it's just white is a whole piece up for a pawn.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Well, sure.
If you
but
see
look,
this, if you see this position without knowing the history, and if you don't know that the game will end in a draw and that Botvinnik got swindled,
okay, I'm not an expert.
you would think
to-
that's just
Probably you at home who know a bit more about chess than me would probably think so. Maybe you too, but yeah.
White is completely winning. He's
Okay,
he's
okay.
a piece up, and white for 2 pawns, not 1 pawn,
I
but 2 pawns.
still do not like it that much. I just think the
Well,
pawns in the center are
Yeah,
quite
yeah. Okay, it's not as easy as it was
unenjoyable.
before.
Yeah.
And this is again, I mean, this is the thing. You have a one position, and you want to play it safe, and suddenly the game slips from your grip, and you think, oh my God, I made things much more difficult than it needed to be, and then you lose confidence and so on and so on. And gradually, step by step, the winning position, the clearly winning position, turns into a winning position. The winning position turns into a one position,
Better.
but that's difficult to win. And then you're clearly better. Then you're just a little better, and then it's a draw. And well, it could get even worse.
In other words, chess is a fascinating game.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game. So let's look how things.
Yeah,
continue.
this is what I also thought.
Yeah.
But you will probably get control over this b3 pawn and 1 point as well.
Yeah. Queen, knight c3.
Yeah, and so you cannot take, right? Of course, there was something.
Oh, you
hanging.
can take, you know. So, and white is still better, but here he played the crazy move. Oh, not here. Here he played the crazy move, rook h4. And after h5, the rook is trapped. And black indeed has strong pawns in the center.
What happens after g4?
Yeah, he has to play g4.
Yeah.
And takes. Well, and I mean, now I have 3 passed pawns in the center. Which
Unpleasant.
unpleasant. G5, rook f8, h7.
Now I, as white, would offer a draw.
Which is
I feel
basically
ashamed.
which is basically what he did, you know.
I see, yeah. Okay,
And well, at
you get one back. Yeah, that looks drawish now.
at that time, after 40 moves and 5 hours of play, the games were adjourned. So adjournment means that the side who's to play,
Back then.
back then, puts the move into an envelope, and both players had the chance to analyze the game overnight or whenever. And then it
With
would
the
have
computers.
no, not with computers. At that time, there were no computers.
Just
But,
kidding.
you know, and then things were resumed. And the thing is that in this match, it was tense again. And Bronstein had the idea that always when the 5th hour was over and the game was to be adjourned, he wanted to make a move to force Botvinnik to seal the move.
And
his-
the old tactics.
Yeah, and his
about the adjourned
argument
game.
for that was that basically after 5 hours of play and after reaching the time control, you would be nervous and you would be tired, and so the move you would seal would be a bad one, or chances would be high that you would play a bad one. And so in this position, actually both sides had spent all that time, all their thinking time, and it was Bronstein had to seal a move. But he wanted to force Botvinnik to play a move, and he played king e5. And then the arbiters, but you know, the 5 hours were over, and the arbiters decided that this was an open sealed move. So Botvinnik knew Botvinnik had all the time in the world to find the best move. But then he said that the black pawns are dangerous, and he offered a draw. And Bronstein accepted the draw, and the game was declared drawn without resumption.
Happy end.
I don't know whether this was a happy end. I don't know. I don't know. It is just, and if you look at it, it's just basically, it's,
Horrible.
It's a game full of, it's not a very convincing game. But again, it shows the tension. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, Botvinnik spots the tactical trick, b6, you know, b7, and he is a whole rook up, and he spoils the game, which can happen. And we will come back to this phenomenon later when we talk about current tournaments. But again, I mean, we talked about the worst blunders, but there's also the best known blunders.
Yeah, I know one of them. We're looking at it right now, right? Fischer?
Fischer,
Spassky?
yeah, Fischer, Spassky.
Yeah, probably the best known blunder in chess history.
Probably, yeah.
And your question is
this, yeah?
Do you think that Ding Liren's blunder will become more famous at one point? There's more people to think about it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, this blunder on Bishop H2 became famous because the match was so famous between Fischer and Spassky.
It's a cult blunder.
Yeah, it's a cult blunder. Yeah. My famous blunders, and but I think so many people followed the Ding Liren and Gukesh match, and this was just. I mean, millions were following the game live. And Fischer, Spassky, people couldn't follow the game live because there was no internet at that time. Okay, there was TV and so on, but it was basically recorded. And you had not only followed millions of people followed the game live, it was also analyzed, and you know, the crucial position was shared and was shown in recaps and so on and so on. So I think Ding Liren and Gukesh, this has good chances to
become the most
famous,
famous blunder in world chess championships.
I mean, at the moment, neither Ding nor Gukesh is as famous or as the reputation of Fischer. So maybe
exactly.
Yeah.
There's one thing which I have to quickly mention, because I've seen a lot of chess-based articles and there's always new ones popping up. Was this even a blunder? Couldn't he have held the draw like this? There are so many analyses. This has been analyzed like crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, and I think the current knowledge is that this was a blunder.
Okay.
Because this position is a complete and utter draw. And
black. I see. I mean, from this point of view,
playing a move like King E7, it would have been a draw, and White has no chances to win, and Black has no chances to win.
Yeah.
So it's a dead draw. And with a move, Bishop takes H2, Black risks losing. With best play, I mean, according to current knowledge and current analysis, the game is still a draw, but Black has to fight hard for this. But on the other hand, I mean, of course, people were wondering why Fischer played this move. And as far as I know, he later told Rubin Fine what he overlooked. You know, White plays b5, and now Fischer played Bishop takes h2. Of course, he saw g3, and now the bishop is cut off. He played h5 to rescue the bishop. King e2. The White king tries to pick up the bishop, h4, king f3, and according to Fischer, in this position, he thought that he could play h3. Wait a minute, here we are. h3, and overlooked that after king g4, bishop to g1, king to king takes h3, bishop to d2, knight, bishop f2. White has bishop d2, cutting off the escape square from the bishop. So basically, and I think it's a bit unfair to call this such a bad blunder, because this is several moves down the line, and he overlooked bishop to d2. And again, I mean, when thinking about this, I was wondering, it's a critical question for all chess players. In how far do you trust your instincts and your calculations?
In endgames?
I mean, in every position.
No, but that's a different thing, right? I learned, I mean, I'm not the best player, but I learned that instincts are very rarely a trait in endgames. You always have to calculate, no?
But again, I mean, just imagine your opponent puts his queen on freeze. You know, you can take it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, you can take it, and you calculate the lines, and you calculate the variations, and you do not see a refutation. You think, I can just take his queen.
That's the magic of chess, yeah.
Do you take the queen or not? And then you think, oh my God, my opponent has whatever, is much stronger than I am. If I could really take the queen, he surely would have seen that, and he would not have put the queen in freeze. And then you think, oh my God, should I really take it? Maybe I overlooked something. And you do not take the queen and lose the game. And you take the queen and maybe you overlooked something.
Yeah.
So the question is, do you believe your calculations? Do you have confidence in yourself? Or are you always doubting yourself? And I think in general it's better to have confidence in your calculations. And Fischer, I think Fischer had confidence in his calculations, and he thought he could take the bishop, he could take the pawn, and he could save his bishop, and he overlooked bishop d2.
It's a difficult one. It's very situational, of course. I mean, it can be helpful to doubt yourself, but then you are playing in a World Chess Championship after all, so...
Yeah, and arguably Fischer was
probably nobody like massively better than you.
Again, I mean, Fischer could argue, I'm the world's best chess player. So, who is better at calculating than I am?
So it was more or less Spassky who had to do this litmus test.
Well, I mean, Spassky saw that Fischer could not take the pawn, that he would catch the black bishop. But still, and again, I mean, just it's another version of this situation is that if a stronger opponent offers you a draw in an unclear position, or in a position in which you think is unclear, and you think, oh my God, he offers a draw, I should accept it, you know. He sees me as much better than I am. But you could also say, I'm confident I'm able to play this position, to win this position, or at least not to lose it. And just because you're afraid, you accept the draw offer. Mm-hmm. And I think you should have confidence in yourself. That's very important. And then if you think the position is better, if you think that you can take the pawn, you should take it. And I have to say, I was playing in a tournament. I said, okay, no matter what, I try to play according to I have confidence in my calculations. And my opponent, it was a position in a London system, and I could occupy the A file. And this looked so treacherous, because I thought, normally black can't allow this. And I was calculating. I think I was thinking more than 20 minutes. But as I said, I see no refutation. If I play bishop if I play rook a7, occupying the 7th rank and threatening to put havoc on his queen side. Mm-hmm. I saw no good continuation for black. And I played rook a7, and my opponent, after 1 minute thing, he played rook a2, rook a8, and if I now take the pawn on b7, which is on freeze, he plays bishop c8, and my rook is trapped. And I thought, oh my God, why didn't I see that?
Why?
But still, I was proud that I actually said, I'm playing this move. I want you to show me what is wrong. He showed me. But still, I have this confidence, you know?
Yeah. That's a nice example. Yeah, it's very situational. I think so.
So, but coming back to this bishop h2, I don't think that if this hadn't been in the first game of a very, very famous match, but just, well, you know, an ordinary game in an ordinary tournament, one would have thought, okay, black miscalculated and he lost. But as it was
the funny part. It was the first game. If it would have been game number 14,
exactly,
right?
You know, and during the match, I mean, Spassky made some incredible blunders, you know.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, and also again, it's just like Fischer hardly ever blundered, so this is quite unusual. Yeah, but well, yeah.
Any more blunders?
Yeah, and I think also a candidate for one of the best known blunders is Carlsen and Anand.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at it.
Let's take a look at that one, the famous one.
So
yeah. Well, this is probably most people watching, again, like the other positions, or the bishop h2, most people will know this. And this is...
Unfortunately.
Again, I mean, we're talking about the most famous blunders, and then, of course, everyone knows them, you know.
Yeah,
it's just
except
like
me. But, so, white is to play, and...
So, in this position, Carlsen played king to d2, which is a gross blunder.
Poor Carlsen.
And it's interesting because there is some footage of this game, because this was also transmitted live. And Carlsen played this move, king d2, and in the very moment when he played the move and when he wrote down his move on the score sheet, he realized what he had done. You know, you could just a little, you know, some moment of hesitation, but then he kept calm. And then you could see Anand, you know, just thinking about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and then Anand was playing a4.
Confidently.
Missing his chance. And I mean, this was played in the second World Championship match between Carlsen and Arne in 2014. And I was following this game live. And I think I know that Peter Sweetling was commentating. I think maybe Lawrence Trent was the second commentator. I can't remember, but I remember that Peter Sweetler was commentating, and they were about to go into a break. You know, they were about to go into a break.
The commentators.
The commentators were about to go into a break, and he was just thinking, you know, let's go to break, and nothing is much happening, and the position is about equal. And then Carlsen played king d2, and Sweetler immediately raised his eyebrows and said, "What is this? What is this?" You know, just because he saw the blunder. He saw the blunder immediately. So, I mean, again, if you know this position, you will know what black could have done here instead of a4. If you don't know the position, just take a quick look and test your tactical skills.
Well done. So I don't have that tactical skills. I don't see anything yet, but
so
probably has to do something with, it has.
he plays knight to e5.
Good.
So, and the thing is that if you take with a rook, I mean, if you play this, your rook is in freeze. You can't do that.
Very easy.
So, but the thing is, what happens after rook takes? You know, and
we give a check, I guess.
We have a little in between check, or it's Zwischenzug.
Zwischen Schach even.
It's zwischen Schach even. So, and what is white to do now? I mean, he can go to king d3, and now we have another little check, and another zwischen Schach.
And the knight is safe.
And then I take the rook, and I'm 2 pawns up. And yeah. So what else can he do? Not much. Oh, where's it again? Where do we have it again? Yeah. So do we have rook e2?
No. That was a4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let me go back to here.
Yeah.
And no.
Okay.
The other one, knight.
Okay. Okay. This.
So we have a lot of moves for the king, but every single move is walking into...
Yeah, after king e2, I just play this. And of course you can take on h6, but I can take on g2. And black is 2 pawns up, and he should win this game. And then the match might have ended differently. Who knows? Anyway, it's an incredible blunder, and it's also a mutual blunder. It's hard to believe that Carlsen overlooked the possibility, and it's even harder to believe that Anand did not see, also overlooked the chance, you know. And again, in the footage, you see that Anand was just thinking, and then he calmly played a4. Well, yeah, and again, because this was televised, and because Carlsen is such a legend, and you know, this is also one of the most.
Did Carlsen then go like, dodged a bullet?
Yeah. I think he was quite relieved, you know.
And Anand didn't notice anything after that move either.
No, I don't think so. It was just sometimes if you blunder, you play the move and then you realize, oh my God, this was bad. But
I don't want to know. Sometimes when you analyze like your blitz games online,
yeah, you know.
And you feel like, I was probably better. And like, oh gosh, why didn't I see that? It's impossible. There was a queen hanging.
Yeah,
for
the
example.
queen hanging, yeah.
That's the confidence part again.
But I have to admit, I mean, one of the worst blunders in my life, I was absolutely blind to this. This was at a Hamburg Junior Championship, and I had the white pieces, and my opponent had a knight on e3.
You may be forgiven because if you say Hamburg Junior Chip, you were still...
No, I was still. I mean, it was just, I was, you know, I was an okay player, you know. And I was always very optimistic, and I thought, okay, the knight on e3 is just, you know, this is, you know, I can get rid of this knight. It's just I can swap it off, and then things will be fine. And to do that, I played, my bishop was on d2. I played bishop d2 to e1 to put my bishop to f2 and then swap off the knight. And when I played bishop e1, my opponent seemed to be astonished and looked at me. And I have to mention that his queen was on h3, and you know, and he looked at me, and I thought, why is he? What is
wrong with this guy?
Yeah, what is wrong? Why is he so astonished? And then he took his queen on h3, and very slowly he was moving it forward. And I was thinking, what is he doing?
Oh my God, he's crazy.
Yeah, exactly, because g2 is covered. He cannot mate me. And f1, well, I didn't think about f1 because f1 is always covered.
You don't think about f1, yeah.
And then he played queen f1, and I was mated in one move.
Oh, wow.
Which was, I mean...
That stings.
And I didn't realize this. I mean, he put the queen to f1, and I thought, yes... How is it possible?
How do I take this queen back now?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait.
And then I realized I was mated in one move. But it again, I mean, usually if you blunder, you realize this. But in this case, I was just oblivious to everything.
You know, I mean, that was a good explanation. But sometimes I remember when I played chess in the club, and then there was like the club players talking about, how did you play? Oh, my God, I blundered a rook. So I had my rook on e3, and then it's like, you don't have to, but no, the whole story is being told, and then I had to, and then the bishop took on e3, and I could give a check on it. Like, I don't understand anything what you're saying right now.
I hope people could actually follow this.
Yes, that was quite easy.
And of course,
I
mean, rambling on about chess games is always a little bit boring.
It feels like a bit like, you know, you don't believe what I dreamed yesterday. Yeah. I don't want to know. It's
and
fine.
Again, I mean, my memory is like, at that time, this was again a Hamburg Junior Championship, and this was again pre-internet, and there was a little bulletin which was printed and typewritten every day.
Oh, nice. Blunder of the day.
Blunder of the day, exactly. You know,
infamous.
It was just, you know, blunder of the day. I mean,
that's the blunder guy.
It was not called blunder of the day. It was just called, I think,
terrible mistakes, which you
know?
will regret for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and exactly, you know, and I was the clear favorite to win that competition. And guess what?
Wow.
I won.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I won.
Happy end. Well, that's a nice story then.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the question is, do you remember the worst, the mistakes in your career better than the good parts or not?
That's like the general life question, right?
That's the general life question.
Do you feel like if somebody is writing 100 nice comments, but you get 2 comments which are like, "Ooh, you suck,"
yeah, genau.
then it's like, oh wow, why did they write that? Unbelievable.
Why did they write that? Yeah. Who's that? Who's that?
Yeah, I want to know why.
Yeah.
Why do we suck?
And I once heard that this is just evolutionary, that basically that you are trained to remember the negative parts better because this protects you from evil animals and so on and so on.
Yeah. Like the knight. Or the rook.
The knight, yeah. But I have to admit, in general, I remember my good games better.
Yeah, me too, exactly.
There's less to remember.
Yes, I remember my worst game, but that's for a different story, probably when we will talk about opening traps at one point in our 2 nights talk career.
Yeah.
Who knows that?
Yeah, opening preparation. So, we are almost through, aren't we?
We're basically through,
but there's still, you know, maybe we can switch to the current tournament, and again, like blunders or stubborn defense, because so, again, Carlsen had to win. He had to win on demand with black against Wesley So, who is one of the most solid players and who hardly ever loses, and much less so with white, and of course it's a rapid game. I think they were playing with a time limit of 10+2.
When you say much less so with white, you don't mean Wesley So. You just mean
Yeah. It was So hardly ever loses, and with white he even loses less than he loses in general. So, and Carlsen played the Nimmt zu Indian, Queen C2, which is also a very solid line. So all this is known, and here Carlsen made a mistake.
too many chess players.
Too many chess players, yeah. But even if I don't know the lines or the theory, I know these patterns.
Some general patterns.
Yeah,
and ideas,
exactly.
yeah.
And here Carlsen made a mistake. He played f5 immediately, and much better was to castle first, because after f5, d5.
And you have to still take care of that before castling.
Yeah, and I mean, now your knight has access to e5, and if you play to d2 to d4, and then the white squares e6 and
that's
f5.
Nice. So what happens after e5?
Well, I don't know. Maybe just. But your bishop on b7.
Yeah, it's looking sad.
Yeah, and you can play knight e1 and f3, and you can attack on.
Gotcha.
You can the pawn on f5, but the engine says black should have played e5, but Carlsen played e5, and after knight d4, he's in severe trouble. White threatens knight e6, and he threatens to take on f5.
That's rough.
Yeah, and so Carlsen, after a long thing,
he accepts
his fate and tries to muddy the waters. He tries to swindle. It's very interesting how he defends or how he swindles in this position. Knight e6.
In typical fashion, he probably is on the board and he's like, nah.
He didn't look happy.
And then he's like, okay.
That much was certain. Queen c8, f3. I mean, white could have taken on fg7 and f5 immediately, but the idea was just, after this.
Your knight has trouble.
Black objectively is worse, but at least he has counterplay. I mean, the knights seem to be very strong, and
wow, this king
maybe
is funny.
something is possible. Yeah, but anyway, after f3, white is still clearly better. King e7.
Good attack.
So what does that remind you of?
What does that remind me? The Bone Cloud?
Yeah, very good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what he wanted. That was the answer you wanted to do.
That's. I mean, people said this is the Bone Cloud,
Yeah, but it's like a very, very delayed. I mean, I made a Fritz trainer about the Bone Cloud. I should know.
Yeah, yes, and it's very bongy and very cloudy, I have to say. Knight g7, Queen f8. Again, I mean, this is like you create the maximum of confusion.
I am confused.
Yeah.
He's done it rightly.
Yeah. So knight h5. Knight c5, Queen c4.
Okay, nice open lines.
Yeah, but the problem is now if you would think that if you play now knight e5, which he did, then white has the nasty move Queen h4 check.
That is nasty. The king not just go to d7.
Yeah, the king can go d7.
Another check.
But okay, black managed to keep the material equilibrium. So though he's not material down, but his king is just in the middle of the board. His pieces are not developed, and white is clearly better and now plays b4, knight e6, bishop b2, threatening f4, winning an exchange. And also just like, putting your rooks on the D and C files and attacking the king. Queen e7, and this I think is just a remarkable move, just like Carlsen sees that he is worse and liquidates into an endgame, sacrificing material doing so.
Because he knows.
Yeah.
Endgame. I'm good with that.
Well, I think this is just, you offer the most resistance possible.
Yeah.
And now you lose an exchange, g2.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought he wanted to give away his rook. Interesting.
No, he plays knight g3.
Oh, now I see it. Okay, I didn't see that.
And now
there the
he
rook
just-
goes.
Yeah, and he sacrifices the exchange, h7, knight to g4. And okay, I mean, objectively the position is 1 for white, but suddenly it's black who plays and black who has threats, and you have to find ways to parry these threats, and things are
Very
not
well
as...
so, yeah.
Yeah. He takes f5, knight g5. And this is a very strange position because, I mean, white is just an exchange up. He has a passed pawn on f5, and it's difficult to see where black can create counterplay. Or
It is.
sufficient counterplay.
Rook f4?
Rook f4
No,
is a
then
possibility.
it's h5 is not so good.
Yeah. He plays b5, a6, a4, knight e4, threatening the pawn on g3.
Actually, there's, I mean, the only defense is king h2.
Well, which he might have, he could have done, but still, a5.
Ooh!
Yeah. Knight g3.
What a weird game.
Rook e1 takes f6, king e6, a5. And you know, suddenly, I mean, again, like, you don't know really why, but white made things difficult for him, you know? And suddenly, black has more counterplay than you would have ever thought possible after the opening. ab5.
Magnus Masterclass.
Magnus in swindling and defending. Bishop to e4. And now rook a1.
In Kampfgeist.
Kampfgeist.
Resiliency.
g4. h5.
There, finally.
g7.
And out of a sudden, our pawn looks strong.
Yeah. Rook b8.
Unpleasant.
Bishop c3.
Rook
c5.
B3? No, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, because we'll lose the pawn.
King h2, h4, rook a7, h3, you know, and suddenly black has serious threats. Knight e7 check.
Oh, but now okay.
King d5.
Yeah, because the knight has to stay there because
now,
of the check of g3, right?
I think so. No, he just keeps the tension. That's the thing.
Okay.
He keeps the tension. And again, I mean, if you take on h3, you have g3 check, and then you have rook b1, and you made the white king. So, but again, so was short of time here, and he panicked. And this is the usual pattern. You know, your opponent offers resistance. You do not find a clear win. Your position gets worse. I mean, it's still won. It's still better. But then you panic, and the trend of the game turns against you. Then you spend hours or oceans of time to find a clear-cut solution, and this time is lacking when the position is critical. Well, and here he played f7, blundering the exchange or the rook. Rook takes h, and then again he relied on this little combination. Rook takes, king takes,
bishop g7.
But now king f3, and black is winning because black threatens king f2, queening the pawn, and if you play rook.
No.
If you play rook, where's the mouse?
There.
If you play this,
then rook check, right?
Rook b1, king h2, and either this mate or rook h1 mate.
That's a bit more.
Yeah,
has a bit more style.
Yeah. Oh, upsala. So after rook a4, bishop g7, king f3, king g1. Oh, after king f3, so resigned. A bitter defeat. And then so the match was 1-1, and Carlsen won the Armageddon. So it's incredible that he was able to win on demand, and that he manages to turn such positions around.
So this was at it's the Chess Champion Tour.
It's the Chess Champions Tour, and it's the final of the Chess Champions Tour. I mean, 8 players play in the final, and there were in 2024 over the year there were 4 online events, and the best players from these online events qualified for the finals. And the finals are played in Oslo, Norway, and they are played live. So
With an audience.
With an audience, exactly. So
And they go like when a bad move happens, a boo!
they applaud when the game's finished. So yeah. So it's not online, it's
Are
live.
they allowed to eat something during
I don't
the
know.
games?
I don't know.
I'm very curious about this.
Yeah, and again, it's a spectacle, and I think it's fun to watch, and then we will have at the 26th of December, so Christmas will come, and then we will have the World Rapid and Blitz Championships in New York.
We will talk about this in our next show, in our last show of this year.
We will talk about that. So
And much more.
yeah, and this was a little tour around the blunders.
The most beautiful and the
worst,
most terrible.
The most terrible, the worst, the most interesting, the most famous blunders. And unfortunately, I suppose that there will never be a lack of material as far as blunders go.
Thank you for being here, Johannes.
Yeah,
It
we
was
should
fun.
end on a more optimistic note,
Yeah.
No more blunders.
Yeah. From now on, 2025, no more blunders.
Yeah,